Hello, this video is going to be a review of part 1 of the final project. I'm going to go over a handful of the issues that I've noticed as I've been reviewing the submissions. First and foremost, you should have a page number on everything you turn in. There is no reason to not include a page number, especially when you have a document that's going to be at least 10 pages long. Next thing is I want to make sure that you guys are centering the names over the images. This means that you need to have professional images or images that look professional when you submit these. These should not be your avatars. They should be images where you're wearing a suit jacket, something that looks professional, something that you would use if you were going to submit it to a job interview. The next thing that I want to point out is the section here. You guys are section 007. You need to make sure this is the only information that you include in this. You are not part of section 1, and I want to make sure that you select the correct information. That also means down here that you need to make sure that you've selected 007, not 001. So make sure that when you're looking at this and when you're editing the template, that you're editing all parts of the template to make sure that it accurately reflects your team. And the next two things are about the table of contents. Make sure that your table of content is on a single page. I don't mind if you want to move the table of contents to its own page. That's not a problem, but make sure that everything in the table of contents is actually on a single page. The next big thing about the table of contents is make sure that you're updating the pages. A handful of people have updated it and it still has these page numbers, which are obviously incorrect considering that this has 1 to 8 pages, so we know that this information is not correct. I can quickly look at the submission, the length of your submission, and look at this and tell whether or not you've updated these. The next thing is that your company information, this title, should be on the next page. Do not start this on the previous page. This is the title. It should go with the content that it's describing. Answers to this information should be in bold to make it easier for the reader to find the information they're looking for. Founded should just be the year. Headquarters should be the current location where your company is headquartered at. Ticker should be the letters used to currently trade your company. Stock price is a current stock price. There are instructions like mandatory and describe history of company throughout this file. It shows me that you're not paying attention to detail when you leave them in there. I don't want to see this information left in the final submission. Date pulled should not be in the final submission. This should look professional. This should look like something that you're ready to take to a high-level manager if you're going to ask to be on the team to make their next advertising campaign. Next is the C-suite. There are 5 people here that are mandatory. Make sure that if you only find those 5 people, that when you delete this information, that you turn these 5 into 2 columns. So what that will look like, delete, highlight these, and we want columns. That is not columns. And it automatically splits it into 2 columns for us. That's all you have to do. It's a very quick process. Next is going to be your history of your company. Once you've got your history typed up, you want to make sure that it fits this space. In order to make sure that it fits this space, you may double space or 1.5 space. It depends on how long the history is that you typed up, but generally you want to make sure that it fits this bottom half of the page. More than that, and you're going to end up with something that looks kind of ugly, because you're going to end up with an orphan or a straggler on the next page, because once you have information that flows over to the next page, that means you have to push the previous advertisement to another page still. So I'd make sure that your history can fit with at least 1.5 space just into this spot. Next is the previous advertising campaigns, which needs to start on its own page. All of this is instructions and should be deleted. I want a brief 1-paragraph summary or brief overview. This should give me an idea of the current advertising strategy your company employs. What are the appeals? What are the execution frameworks? What do you typically see when you look at the ads from that company? Next are the advertisement descriptions. So basically this is just going to be 2 to 3 sentences at most that describe the ad. I want you to go through, pick a single type of frame or border for your images. I picked 4 different ones so you could see that there are different options for you, not to tell you that there are 4, that you should style each of them differently. Basically make sure that you have one style and they're all 4 in that same style. Next is the pest analysis. Make sure again that you delete the instructions. Pest should be defined here. Each of the letters should be defined and the answer should be in bold. Here you put the name of the current U.S. president, whether he's a Democrat or Republican. You put the current Republican nominee, current Democratic nominee. So I can tell you right now that the current nominee for the Republicans is not Mitt Romney. If you put in Mitt Romney, that answer is wrong. I think a handful of you are doing this because you see voter turnout of 2012. The only reason it is not voter turnout for 2016 is because 2016 voting has not happened yet. So the most recent voter turnout was in 2012. Tell me what the percentage is, tell me what the change percentage is, and tell me whether that number was up or down using these arrows. Whichever one is not the correct signifier, delete it and then move on. Next is going to be the U.S. Senate and Representative based on the U.S. Congress. Tell me how many senators there are. Tell me the name of the majority and minority leader. You do not need to put R or D behind their name. I know that was in the template, but that was just to kind of give you an idea of who those people were. But do not put R or D behind them because it looks like you don't know. The majority leader is the leader of the party that is in control of the Senate or the House. So right now we have 52 or 54 Republicans in the Senate. That means the majority leader will be a Republican and the minority leader will be a Democrat. If we had 60 Democrats in the Senate, then the majority leader would be a Democrat, and so on and so forth. While these answers will be in bold, do not put your sources in bold. One big thing is right now there are vacancies, so make sure that you have the correct number of vacancies. The next problem that I've noticed is that people are splitting information, important information, across pages. When you do this, we'll do it with this one because it'll be easier to demonstrate. You can see now that the U.S. representative information, half of it's on one page, half of it's on another page. Do not do that. It looks horrible, and it looks like you're not paying attention to formatting problems. So make sure that if you're going to split, do that. If, let's say that for some reason that we wanted to split this information, what we would do is we'd split at U.S. representatives and we put that on the next page. So that way all of this information, everything that's under this header, is all together. So make sure that the headers and the content that the headers belong to are on the same page together. Let's move that back for now. Next, for the unemployment rate, one of the things that I've been startled by is how many people are rounding these numbers and they're not really paying attention to what these numbers mean. So let's say that you round 9.9, just for easy numbers. Let's say that you round 9.9 to 10% unemployment. Are you willing to pay the price or pay the cost of employing that 0.1% difference? And it doesn't seem like a big number at first until you realize you're talking about employing 0.1% of the U.S. population. And you realize how many millions upon millions of dollars you're talking about. So when you report that number, make sure to report it accurately and not round that number. One of the next big things is that cost of oil will be changed. I'm going to add date to the template so that way you can enter that. The next big thing is the social component of the pest analysis. We have household income. Make sure you report this accurately. Let's say, for example, that the household income is $30,000. And we know this number is wrong. One of the things I want you guys to note is that if this number isn't for 2016, put the year in parentheses behind it. So let's say this is for 2014. Boom. We've now indicated that that number is clearly not for 2016, it's for 2014, and we can move on. Do the same thing as you report numbers that are not for 2016. One of the next things I want to point out is that the threshold for a family of 4 will be a dollar amount, so make sure you have $1. Then the next two numbers are percentages, so make sure that whatever number you include, let's say 100%, which clearly the U.S. does not have a 100% poverty rate, but make sure that you include a percentage behind that, because otherwise it says 100. Does that mean there are 100 people in poverty? There are 100 states in poverty? What does that 100 signify? In the racial composition, I'm asking for white non-Hispanic. This is the entire name of a specific group of U.S. citizens. So these are people who are both white and not Hispanic. A lot of you are reporting numbers that are in the mid to high 70s, and I can tell you those numbers are wrong. The current population in the U.S. does not have 70% people who are white and non-Hispanic. You're looking at the census and you're not looking down far enough on that list to find the white non-Hispanic number. You're reporting just the white number that includes Hispanics. The next piece is going to be technology. All I want you to do is name the technological breakthrough that you think is most applicable to your company. MIT produces a top 10 list every year of technological breakthroughs. Pick 3, name them, and give me the source. That's all I'm asking. Next is going to be the part that a lot of folks are struggling with, is the SWOT analysis. What I want to be clear on is that within the SWOT analysis, the SW is going to be internal, the OT is going to be external. When I look at the SW, I want to see a list of items that is very clearly applicable only to your company, things that describe your company specifically. And in terms of strengths, one of the things that I would recommend looking at, if you were going to work at this company, what are the things that you would look for? What sort of attributes of that company make you think that would be a good company to work for? Weaknesses, what are the things that you think would make that a bad company to work for? What are the problems that company is currently facing? With the OT part, because this is external, these are events and happenings that are going on outside of your company that may influence how your company does business. Two easy examples are going to be the political climate and then the actual climate. So political climate basically means, will one presidential candidate versus another influence how your company does business? Will climate change influence how your company does business? Each of these can be a potential threat or opportunity depending on how your company does business. So you think about what's going on in the world and how does that influence your company? Outside the company, inside the company. The next big thing is that the offerings should start on the next page. In case I didn't already say it, the SWOT analysis should also start on its own page. Anything that's a major header should basically start on its own page. In the offerings, the first thing we have is the industry code. Most of you will not find the ICIS, so make sure that when you go in there you delete it. The next thing is going to be the description of offerings. With product, I want to know, is your company service or product based? What is the primary thing, what is the primary offering that your company sells? Does your company primarily offer products, primarily offer service, or are you a company that offers a mixture of both? So I just want a 1 or 2 word answer here. Price is going to be the same way. Does your company pursue a skimming or penetration pricing strategy? I just want one or the other. I do not want an explanation. The same goes for promotion. Look at the chart of Porter's generic strategies and tell me which strategy do you think is most applicable to your company. Place. Tell me about the typical location where your store is at. Where can I find your store? A handful of people have put where there's a lot of traffic. Unless your store is going to be built on I-35 over Lake Louisville, where there's a lot of traffic, that is not a good description of where your store is located at. You need to tell me, is it in a strip mall? Is it in, typically downtown? Where is your store at? Be specific. The next thing with people describes the employees of your company, not your consumers, because people, process, and physical evidence are the 3 additional P's of 7 P's that apply to service. So even though your company may be product-based, your company still provides some aspect of service. So who are the people that provide that service? What does the process of providing service look like? And is there any physical evidence of that service? So once the service is done, do I have any evidence that I received that service? These are what I'm looking for, and that's why these are not going to be 1 or 2 word answers. These are going to be an explanation of how service fits into your overall business model. Top 5 offerings. Pick 5 things that your company sells. Be specific. I don't want general categories. The next section is the competitor section. If you're going to split this section, make sure you split it at the indirect competitor so that all of this information is together. Do not split it anywhere else, because this title goes with this information. This subheader goes with this information. Splitting it across the page again looks terrible, and it looks like you're not paying attention to what you're presenting, that you don't care about the quality of what you're presenting. Right now you can clearly see that there's a problem with the header for the next page where it says current consumers. This is because we deleted information up here where there was the ICIS code. We can easily fix this by going in, pressing enter, and we've now spaced it out. Make sure that you address each piece of information that has been requested for these people. The other big thing is make sure that you're not reporting companies that are closed, such as Circuit City, and do not report a company as its own competitor. A company does not compete with itself. The last part of this is the current consumers. Basically what I want you to do here is I want you to put in the name of the website that you pulled information from, the title of that page, and then a link to the website, and then a 1 to 2 sentence summary of what that website said. You'll do this for 3 different sources, and then after that you'll go in and you'll delete the instructions, because I do not want you to leave the instructions. The final part of this is going to be the overall description of current consumers. Who are the current consumers? What information did you find about them? And then there's an image. This is a placeholder. Do not leave this when you are done. Input the image that you think best represents your company. If you have any questions about any of this, or you want more clarification, please do not hesitate to email me. I'll be happy to answer your questions.